In this lesson, we're going to learn to count from 1 to 100. No, seriously, 100 million numbers. You can handle that, right? Unfortunately, this amazing feat of vocabulary can be accomplished by learning only a couple dozen words and stringing them together in the right order. Let's jump right in, shall we? Let me turn this down a bit because I think it was being weird before. Blowing out the audio.
1、
Ichi,
2、
ni,
3、
san,
4、
shi,
4、
yon,
5、
go,
6、
roku,
7、
nana,
7、
shichi,
8、
hachi,
9、
kyu, like kyubi,
9、
ku, some 2 nines, okay,
10、
ju, like junin. Yeah. You'll notice that the numbers 4, 7, and 9 have multiple versions. This is a little like the way we sometimes call the number 2 deuce, because of how these numbers combine with our numbers. Coming up, yon, nana, and kyu are used slightly more than their counterparts, but do learn both versions. So assuming you have memorized this chart, you now obviously have the ability to count to 10. What may not be so obvious is that you also have the ability to count to 99 without learning any new vocabulary. How does that work? To count 11, just say 10-1 or ju ichi. 12 is 10-2 or ju ni, and so on. When you get to 14 and 17, use yon and nana, respectively, instead of their cousins. Some people use the other forms, but ju yon and ju nana are preferred.
12、
For 12,
14、
ju yon for 14,
16、
ju roku for 16,
17、
ju nana for 17. So that takes us up to 19. How do we handle 20? 20 is simply 210 or ni-ju. You can probably guess that 30 will be 310 or sanju, and 40 will be 410 or yonju, and so on, all the way up to 90 or kyuju. What about the numbers in between the tens, like 34 or 76? It works exactly like in English. Watch what's happening when you say the number 34. You pronounce 30 and then follow it up with 4. 76 is 76. In Japanese, the number 34 will be 30 or sanju, followed by 4 or yon. 34 is sanju yon. Try taking apart these numbers.
45、
Yonjugo for 40.
70、
Nana for 77. Rokujuni for 62. I know the Nintendo 64 is Rokuyon, so that might help me. Hachiju-san.
83、
Hachi, like the octopus in One Piece. His name is Hachi, I think.
59、
Goju-Q is 59. Need to think of something for Go and 5. So now we can count through 99. To go any higher, we're going to need a few more vocabulary words.
100、
Hyaku for 100. I definitely heard like hyaku%.
200、
Nihyaku for 200.
300、
Sanbyaku for 300. Byaku's kind of weird. Like a Byakugan, maybe? I don't know.
400、
Yonhyaku 400.
500、
Gohyaku 500.
600、
Ropyaku 600.
700、
Nanahaku 700.
800、
Hapyaku 800. That's weird. Happy number 8.
900、
Kyuhyaku 900. Hyaku means 100, so you might expect from the way the numbers below 100 work, 200 is simply ni hyaku. However, something strange happens with 300. What's going on there? To the Japanese ear, sanhyaku sounds funny. To alleviate the awkwardness, 1010 are added to the hya to make it bya instead. Try it out. You'll probably agree, sanbyaku is easier to say than sanhyaku. I guess that's true. This sort of thing happens a lot in Japanese. In fact, it happens 3 times in this list alone, and linguists call it euphony, which basically means making the flow of language sound pleasant. But aside from the 3 euphonic changes, these should be straightforward, and hopefully the Japanese counting system is starting to make sense. How do we get numbers in between the hundreds? Just say the 100 value and then follow it up with a more granular number. For example, 528 is 500 gohyaku and 28 nijuhachi, or
528
gohyaku nijuhachi for 528, 824, 824, 227 for 227 or 227, 361, 361, 699, 699, oh, Q like QB, 952, 952, 952. To go higher than 999, we need the word for 1,000. As with hyaku, some euphony happens here, so check the list below. Sen for 1,000, nisen, sanzen, with the Z sound on there, we got some softening marks. Yonsen, gosen, rokusen, nanasen, hasen, kyusen for 9,000. Notice the euphony occurring with sanzen and hasen. Ha being like hachi, 8. That one I guess isn't too weird. It might help to remember these if you recall that the numbers 3 and 8 caused euphony to happen in the 100 set as well. The symphony for you, the euphony. Using this set, we can now construct numbers through 9,999. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly? Yeah. Just name the thousands place, then say how many hundreds, tens, and ones there are. So for example, 8,324 would become Hasen Sanbyaku Nijuyon. It's kind of a mouthful. 8,324. Here are some numbers in the thousands range. 3,821 for 3,821.
4209
For 4,209.
8001
For 8,001.
7436
For 7,436.
5210
For 5,210.
9200
For 9,200. Hold on, got something coming up here.
1234
1,234. So how do we go higher than 9,999? Just when you thought you had figured everything out, it turns out Japanese has a curveball for you. There's a fundamental difference between the way early Japanese counters and early Western counters decided to break up large groups of digits. In the Western world, we get new units every 3 places. That is, we have a unit called 1,000. When we get 10 of those, we don't get a new unit, we just say we have 10,000. When we get 100, we still don't get a new unit, we just have 100,000. When we get 1,000 of them, we finally graduate to a new unit, a million. However, in Japanese, new units come every 4 places. So if we collect 10,000s together, you don't have 10,000. You have one of a new unit, man,
万
meaning 10,000.
億
Oku for 100 million. 1 man is the number 10,000. With man and all units higher than that, you must always specify a number in front of it, even for just one. That is, to specify 10,000, you must say ichiman, not just man. If they think it's weird that 10,000 gets its own unit, trust me, it takes a while to get used to it. Check out the implications. We have niman, goman, gojuman for 50 10,000s. 100 10,000s would be hyakuman. 100 10,000 would be senman. That's right. A million is not a new unit. It's merely hyakuman, or 100 10,000s. You get a new unit. You don't get a new unit until 100,000, I guess. The good news is that with that new unit, oku, you can count all the way to a trillion. Well, technically a trillion minus 1. If your mind is swirling, relax. The man unit takes a while to get used to, but after a while, you'll figure out short mental shortcuts to doing the translation. And most people don't need to talk about numbers higher than a million much on a daily basis anyway. So it's not really that bad. Summary. So that's it. You can now count in Japanese. Although it might take a while to get used to the concept of the units. 10,000, man. 100,000, I think. Oku. Japanese counting is on the whole very straightforward. As always, take a quiz break to make sure you've got this stuff nailed using the quiz below. In the numbers quiz, you can have the computer drill you on numbers between the rings you specify, and even listen to any number between 1 and 999 being pronounced. I might do that in my own time, but I'll see if I can get a video for that later. In our next lesson, we'll learn to start talking about when things happen with words like tomorrow, last week, next year, and so on. Take it easy.